Hello, welcome back, everyone. For this talk, I would like to welcome Peter Jaritz, CAD modeler at Vokswagen, where he will be talking about the power of having good communication and collaboration tools in the automotive design pipeline. Welcome, Peter.
Hello, Daniela. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for having me. It's going to be interesting, and it already is, as all the talks have been today and yesterday. So a little bit about myself. As Daniela mentioned, I'm a CAD modeler at VW, located in Wolfsburg, Germany, and as I am in a team of CAD workers, my team and I, we are also responsible for evaluating new innovative tools, and such as in this result, we managed to look into in the last 2 years into Gravity Sketch, mainly Blender and Maya. We had already a lot of people working with it, but we are strongly working now and trying in Unreal. And also Substance and Grasshopper also, we had several guys working already there quite heavily. So this has always been something which I liked personally, to try new stuff, and this is exactly what Gravity is all about. Yeah, so for today, I wanted to say also, before I come to the topic itself, so I'm a Gravity user since 2018, I think. We did a lot of beta testing back then, and last year we started the month of training program with Gravity Sketch in collaboration sessions with several designers, which was also a great experience. And regarding this communication aspect, which I will focus later on. Yeah, so at VW, we are currently in the stage of beginning to work with it in production. So, but it's really early on, so I can unfortunately not show you something regarding this work. But what I can show you is a side project which I did with a colleague of mine, Leandro Chavez, which is in my team, also a CAD modeler and Grasshopper user also, and we decided to make kind of a workflow video and project where we just did an exterior car for ourselves. So we are not designers, so don't point your finger at me or at Leandro for designing this, but it was a fun way to explore Gravity Sketch in collaboration. In this on a real scale, and then on doing something quite concrete. And what we did there, we also implemented some little work of Grasshopper in it, and brought that into Gravity Sketch. We did the whole model in Gravity Sketch, then refinement in Blender, and back and forth. So we did our own design iterations between Blender and Gravity Sketch, doing some fine details then in Blender, and going back and forth. So and on this occasion, since we had the opportunity also parallel to do a trial version of Substance at this time, so we decided to give this also a try, and to implement it also in a workflow. So you will see this in a bit. Yeah, so let me just show you this. Let me just share my screen. So can anyone see the video, which already started. So yeah, so it has no sound. I will pause a little bit to explain a little bit what we did. So the main idea behind this was to show our design department what is possible with tools that they may not have heard of, or at least yeah, used more or less. And yeah, this kind of introduction. So there we did some kind of a just time lapse to show how the Gravity Sketch collaboration thing works. I made a time lapse because it would be too long for the users to see that and to explain everything. So for more explanation, we did in-depth tutorials and stuff. But here you can see. So what you see here is a time lapse, I think, of 5 or 6 minutes in real time, and which already shows how quick you can just do some surfacing. So you saw here, let me just go back for a minute. So in the start, we had the line work, which Leandro did at the first place in Gravity Sketch. So we had a base on how to start our surface on. And from there on, we started. The wheels also we did in Gravity Sketch, nothing really fancy, but it gives you an idea of blocking out something. And go back. Exactly. So then, as we had, so this is not the finished version we had, but you will see in a second. This is just a timelapse to show the users how Gravity Sketch actually works, right? And so what we did then is took the first results we had. There you see like an iteration process we did. This is nothing invented. This is really what we did. So we had our line works and we had some block out in white that we can better see, better read the lines, and then began the communication process between ourselves. And so one was annotation, doing annotations in red lines, and the other one in blue lines, so we can differ which one is who. And as soon as the project goes along, we try to yeah, change our design. We changed it actually a lot here and there. So it was a process which was longer than needed, but definitely we hadn't have a designer at our side, so we were on our own, let's say. And yeah, so and after this, we made some our first Gravity Sketch surfaces, and these are completely Gravity Sketch. Also the wheels. Then we took all the surfaces to Blender, and here I just blended this in. So the interior, I did a just rough block out interior to have something in the background. I did that also in Gravity Sketch. Nothing fancy there, but just to have something. And then we came back with our surfaces from Blender. So I'm not showing the process how we did that in Blender because it's not a really big part, like let's say in this context. But yeah, so we had some real shot lines, headlamps, and yeah, a lot of details. So then, as I said, we decided to do something in substance, and the wheels were, the rims were a good example for that. So I took substance, and here you can see that I had some variations that I could take on and put in my project back in. So this was also to, as I said, just to showcase what software and what could we do with it. And I mean, these are simple object examples. And then going back, putting everything together, the substance wheels, the Gravity Sketch / Blender models, we took this in Blender and made a quick animation, and yeah. I have to mention there, I'm not a pro at any of these softwares, but I know them enough to do a little bit of stuff. So, and here you can see actually pretty cool the displacement of the rim. So this is just a flat image as a geometry, just highly tessellated, and just a black and white image, which defines then the depth of the geometry. Yeah, so that was a really fun project to work on, and I hope it serves the purpose, and to show this to other people, and to convince our superiors also to work more with these kind of tools. So I did then some little bit more emotional renders after that, and yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So because I don't know, are you seeing the video, or yeah, probably. Okay.
Yeah, we're still seeing the video, Peter.
Yeah, let me just share the other screen. So these are the emotional, a little more emotional renders I just mentioned. So yeah. So this is on the side of what we did so far, and what I wanted to talk now is more about the communication aspect of how we work now, and what is possible with a software like Gravity Sketch. Let me just untick that for a second. Oh. Yeah, so can you hear me? Because somehow. Hello? Sorry, I had an issue. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I was somehow stuck in my desktop. So yeah, so for now, we all know that in the design process, so communication is key for a successful design process. So we often encounter the problem that we have different communication scenario at the design process. We have a communication between the designer and a CAD department. Then we have the engineer department between CAD and the designer to the engineer, and usually also all of three together. So, and we always encounter some misunderstandings, which are in these times where we do a lot of communication via Skype and Zoom and etc. It feels always a little bit distant to each other, and we cannot interact properly with each other. It's more like I show you a content, then you show me a content, and vice versa. And it's always quite unidirectional, so to speak. And this is not the best way to communicate. This is when the other way would be to meet with each other, but during this pandemic, it was really hard to do. So yeah, a tool like Gravity Sketch could help a lot in this regard, because then we are able to come together in a collaboration room, and even I call it's more like a lifelike experience a little bit, that you can even if it's just in a small avatar what you see of the other people, it's you have like the head, you have the movement of the head, which also feels more responsive than just a clear nothing. If you just show the screen, right, you don't see the person. So what I refer to is that it's getting more into these avatar likes communication things. That's kind of an interesting way to come together. And so I mean, the difference, I'm not personally into that much like social media in terms of if you point it out to Facebook or something like that. But regarding the possibilities to communicate for a purpose, for a design purpose at our place, I feel it's way more intuitive to see if there is something. I remember then when I was with Leandro in this project, we always were like giggling around more or less, because it was so fun to see each other working, even if we weren't talking, because everyone was concentrating on this side of the car and stuff like that. We were always aware of each other somehow, and sometimes like you can see how the avatar moved his head up and looked around like, is my colleague still there, and something like that. And this is a kind of a, yeah, these are human reactions, right? And I miss that a lot in our calls. Sure, you have your video camera, and this for sure helps, like we see it here and during the last 2 days. But it's it's in VR you have that more interactivity that you have, and the more tools you have at your disposal, the more possibilities you have. And so I mean, even just with the controllers, right? I have my controller here. So you could have like a gesture, and even if I don't see the arm, I see the controller as representative of my hand, and I could make some explanation, or and this is kind of things which I'll be interested also in Gravity Sketch. How far can we go there? Is there more possibilities of using avatars without being too much destructive, right? So, but yeah, this could be an interesting thing.
Yeah, definitely, Peter. I think, I mean, you're touching on a lot of great things, and a lot of what you've said. I mean, we have some questions around your Blender workflow, but
sure,
before we jump into questions, I think it would be interesting to talk about communication, which is kind of like, what you're talking about, and you have been talking a lot about communication and kind of like, physical way of understanding people. You have not spoken about creation necessarily, right? So there's this big element of the need for actually being able to express yourself even without making something, right? Without even sketching. Because sometimes the conversations in the design pipeline that you're part of, sometimes they're just conversations, right? Like you don't necessarily need to be making, everyone in the conversation needs to be making something.
Exactly. So also this this feature which allows people in Gravity Sketch to have spatial audio, so that you can really there could be 10 people in one VR room, and but 2 of them decide, okay, let's discuss something, but they don't need to hear that. So you can just move like 20 meters away and in the VR room, but you're still in the same session. So and then you can start. And then they won't hear it because it's a spatial audio, which is just reduce about your surroundings. And this is also something we realized, and as we started the training program of the other designers. So I think we were like 7, 8 people in the collab session. And that was really the fun part. Actually, was always to, even if you're creating, you just look left and right, and you realize, oh, there's something else happening, and then you look over the shoulder. I remember just traveling in the room, going to the other side, and just try to understand what the other people the other guy was doing. And this is the interesting part of this interaction possibilities in our communication tools like this one. It's really limited, right? You cannot do too much. I mean, in certain, you can share your screen and you can maybe point with the mouse, but you cannot interact with it really. And so, I mean, in Gravity Sketch, you had all these features like you can just write notes in the room and take this note and put it in front of the other user and say, if if sometimes maybe the audio is not working or it disabled it because it was annoying, then you can write something in and put it like a text message in front of him. And I remember that I did that a lot of time also. And this is actually a really interesting way to interact with each other. And I saw also something that I realized is that with the layer structure that you have, this is more referring like of a practical side of things, but even the layer structure is in this way a part of a communication tool, because you could organize your work that you just did today, and then you could say, okay, user number 1 did this, because it's called user number 1 on each layer, and then you can let's say organize your iterations that you did on your design. And the cool thing is that everything is in one file. You don't have to share your file to someone, so it's already there. They just have to jump into this room and they see all the messages, the progress you did, and so on. And this is something I think that which comes like somehow naturally, and nobody they take that for granted, let's say, but it's a really important thing at Gravity Sketch, because it's the communication of people together that could let's say make the whole thing better.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And it has been touched on in some of the conversations during these 2 days, which is the fact that you don't, like, you're working in the same space and you don't need to be saving files or having different types of files, sending them over, opening them, sending another version, and so on, which is something that we don't necessarily think about so much when we're thinking about collaborating in VR, because like we're kind of like focused on the, ooh, it's really cool to be in this space, but actually like their practicalities are also being solved through that.
Yeah. And I also think that if you have, especially when you have like different departments coming together, it helps to democratize somehow the barriers you have sometimes between departments. Like probably a lot of people which are in the automotive industry, they will know that, but surely also in other industries. You always have this natural barrier of designers versus engineers, and for us at VW, at least as a CAD modeler, you are in between, and use some kind of this communicator in between them, and yeah. I think when everybody is together in the same room at the same time, and they can point out a thing directly, and then the thing is not that someone is showing you something and it's like, okay, he has the key, he has, you know, the control of the thing. So everybody has at the same time the control of things, and this is something like that psychologically interesting, because it gives you the feeling that you could change now something, which you could. And yeah, it's I don't know, something that when you thought of it, when you think of it, it's quite powerful somehow.
It is. It's bringing conversations. It's giving a voice to everyone, right?
Yeah.
And bringing conversations to the beginning of the process, which I think that's kind of like the most important part. And you let me know if this is true, but you know, sometimes decisions have already been made throughout the process, and by the time some of these voices are coming to the picture, it's a bit too late, right? Some things cannot change in the regular design process, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so, I mean, there's something really important here to mention, which is Peter, it's a CAD modeler, right? So sometimes when we think about Gravity Sketch, we think about designers using Gravity Sketch. Sometimes some CAD modelers think that we're trying to replace CAD with Gravity Sketch, and they realize that Gravity Sketch doesn't have all the features that CAD has. And in reality, it's nothing like that, right? Like none of those two things that I mentioned are like necessarily true. It's about the collaboration between, I mean, in your case, it's about the collaboration with the designers, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
What is bringing Gravity Sketch to the table?
Yeah, that's for sure. On the work side, mainly it's working with the designers, because it's it's our daily job to work with the designers first, and from time to time with the engineers when they have to when they share their limitations, what we have to think of and stuff. But yeah, it's really this experience to come together, and then to realize that you're not that you're all on the same page, and that's an interesting thing. Yeah.
Because before, I mean, if you're not using Gravity Sketch or a three-dimensional way to communicate, you need to be using sketches, right? You get given the sketches, and then you need to make them into 3D.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So this is actually like the when I try to explain someone to a designer why he should use Gravity Sketch, I always every CAD modeler encountered this issue that when you model something, or you get a sketch from a designer, you get the side view and the front view from an exterior, and I mean, you could have like really good designers who really knows how to match up some lines together, even they're on two different on different sides, but usually something doesn't work perfectly there. And that's always the point where I say, jump in Gravity Sketch, make your curve in 3D, and we're good. I mean, that's the direct, it doesn't get more direct than that, the input you get. And even if it's just like somehow an old idea of doing this kind of workflow, that, I mean, he does in Gravity Sketch a curve, and then maybe you can take this curve, export it as an FBX or whatever, and import it in my CAD file. Even this is already a benefit of using it. But the real thing is coming together in Gravity Sketch and doing as much as possible in Gravity Sketch. For sure, I want to point out that all we do in Gravity Sketch and will do is first for the first phase of design. At a certain point, as we saw also in the other calls and talks, you have to be more precise, and then get back to your CAD programs. And but we are more and more using also in between the poly modeling on side of things, so Blender and Maya and others. But a lot of designers already use that as a 3D tool, and yeah, it's just like a natural, it would just be a natural process for them to jump in one step ahead and go into VR. But that's yeah, I mean, we saw several designers and a lot of designers also, which has they really have interest into jumping into that. But it's always the difficulty is always to get the people into a VR headset, and but I'm not talking about that. That's not the topic today. So yeah.
Oh, it's part of it, right? Yeah, that's a bit of the challenge always. But once you get in there, you kind of like, yeah, you experience it and you realize what the value is. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Putting a headset on someone's head is, for the first time, is challenging. And so what happens afterwards? Like after you've been sketching and collaborating with people inside of Gravity Sketch, and kind of like, you know, they have been showing you lines, or they have been showing you kind of like a 3D sketch of a car. What happens after that?
Well, it depends on the, as I said, on the phase of the process of the car. Like if it's just an early phase project, then you could stick into this workflow quite a long time, and step by step refining your model. So and this would be like the process which I would personally do with Gravity Sketch and Blender, because I'm a Blender user, but it really doesn't matter. It just, you can just take everything that works with SubD. I mean, in Alias you have also now the possibility to use SubD, so this is great, and Rhino is also there. So so this would be like the ping pong game that we played on, and to a certain point, and then it's really just a matter of actually, I must say, usually about your design superiors, which they somehow decide then at a certain point, okay, that's looking great and we had a great pace till now, but now we need to go a little bit more into detail. And I mean, from my side of view, you can go quite a lot details with SubD modeling, but it's, yeah, on this regard, we had some different opinions, let's say, on our side, but the trend is definitely going there, that also our the superiors are really really aware of how far we can go in SubD modeling in general, and they're accepting it actually quite good. I know, I think there's some colleagues of mine maybe listening too, so I have to be careful, but I think they would say the same. So and I know also that at Skoda, especially also, they emphasized Blender a lot also in modeling to really high quality level. So yeah, and I would love to see more of that, because everything which brings SubD modeling into the game means also that you could use Gravity Sketch. That's it's just, you know, it's just a tool that you could, in the pipeline, you could just squeeze it in. It will always work as long as the SubD modeling tools are there and the possibilities. Yeah, and yeah, and all this communication idea. I mean, it's you see it all around with the Omniverse collaboration tools of NVIDIA, so that you have different programs on one platform and everything works hand in hand. I mean, that would be a game changer for everybody. But for us, it's always then on the user side, I would always say that let's give it a try, but it's never the users who defines what happens and what not. But yeah, so also this kind of communication, these are also communication platforms, even there are just platforms for tools. At least it's everything you do there is communicating. Everything that you share is communicating, and that's the great thing. Yeah, and I think there's going to be more and more of that. I mean, also like Mark Zuckerberg did mention earlier, that all is on the metaverse. Yeah, you know, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a need to be able to communicate and collaborate in a different way that it's not through 2D screens. That's definitely important, especially when we're talking about working on three-dimensional products that eventually need to become real three-dimensional objects, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we have been for the past almost 2 years just locked in our houses, having to figure out how to work with each other without going to the studio, without flying to other countries, without like being able to meet in person, then it's kind of like almost forcing us to have to figure these things out even quicker.
Yeah, that's definitely something, and I'm looking forward to try out different programs and tools which emphasize this idea, just to yeah, to try it out and to see, does it help me from my own communication? Do I make myself more clear when I use some tools that yeah, that are more able to yeah, to show what I want to express. Let's say, let's put it on a really general way here, but yeah.
So Peter, if you would have to say what has actually, like, Gravity Sketch has actually brought to the table, would you say that it has reduced the time of having to work like between design and CAD modelers? Or would you say that now that you're bringing the conversations earlier with more people involved, the designs are becoming a bit different or like a bit more diverse?
That's interesting point. So far, I must say that at VW we didn't had too much chance to involve the engineer department directly in our thing, because for now we didn't have not sadly the opportunity to work into big projects which were let's say where the engineer side of things were needed. Let's say, I mean, in some way, sure, but not so directly. But this is something which actually I think that till end of the year we will have. I would have an answer on that on the end of the year, because until then I know that the project which we are working right now is will have the need of getting also these people into the boat. The question then would be, do they want to join the boat? And then I'm back to the only one thing is like, how do I get people into this world, right? But that's, as I mentioned it before, like this is like how it's possible, and this is like I wish it would always already be, but it's not there yet. But that is really depending on the people. That's the interesting thing, is that yeah, you have to convince the people to do that, and once they're there, usually they're blown away. That's the funny thing. And yeah, and then also in the talks I heard today and yesterday, I always heard the word it's more fun, and that's really is. That's really like that. So yeah.
And so, but okay, so the engineers are not part of it right now, but the designers and the CAD technicians are. So what is that like? How is your work changing now that you have this workflow? Like, what is it actually doing for you?
So the thing is that it depends a little bit on the pace that we have. So usually in a project we have one weekly meeting at least, where everybody comes together, and then then we change, or we show the results, and then we talk about the results and stuff, and then we do our iterations. And I would say that the decisions that are made based on these meetings, they are more yeah, how to say, they're easier to understand and therefore quicker. So usually when the old way to do it, with some different sketches, and he sent me a sketch and I do my stuff, and then you always waste time understanding what the designer wants, as a CAD model at least. I mean, I say waste time, it's like it is, right? So, and when we're together in the gravity sketch thing, we realize that you can just talk about it and just show what you mean, and by there the designer says, no, I meant like that this way, and then he take the curves and put it up, and then you put it back, and then as a CAD guy, you say, it would be make more sense if you push this line here, so this works, and stuff like that. So this is the thing I realized, which was like for more like the most directly impact, like regarding modeling, because that's like what I do. But and yeah, generally speaking, I say that I could not tell you right now how fast it is compared to the old workflow, let's say. But yeah, because we're a little bit too early in the production phase to say that. As again, I would get a proper answer, maybe in half a year, if it stays in production, which I really hope.
Me too. All right, so we can open the questions to the audience. There have been some like really good comments there. They loved the demo that you gave, like the video that you showed, and everything that you have been talking about is quite insightful. All right, so this is one, like, are automotive designers coming to you guys at VW from university with gravity sketch skills?
Yeah, actually, I just heard, I didn't saw it myself, but I just heard that that one guy was coming over, and there's a lot of universities who does that, and this is actually also something we are really keen on, to get in touch with these guys. I know there's a designer in interior who is responsible on the designer side to look at students and how do they work and stuff like that. And I heard that it's getting more and more, and this is really something. It's funny because sometimes you need the young people, but not me, to coming from the uni to ourselves, to a company which is established, that has, you know, kind of fixed structures and stuff like that. And it always helps when you have some fresh minds in there that when they come and they say, I know how to do gravity sketch, not an issue, and it just jumps in. You don't have to convince him. That's like, these are the guys which we need to grab and to hold, right? And yeah, they're the future, definitely. So we're really interested into that. So if you have any students, feel free to contact me, and then I could redirect you where it makes sense.
Nice. Another one. Oh, this is a comment. Is my colleague still there? Like, from what you just said, it's an excellent example of the usefulness of a shared virtual space for remote collaboration. Does it get confusing when more than one person is modeling at the same time, like the same thing at the same time?
Actually not. I found that, I mean, one thing, but I don't know how to address that like technically, is like when you navigate in Gravity Sketch and you zoom always in and out, your avatar head is getting bigger or smaller. And sometimes I know that I challenged my colleagues because I made myself huge, and then I placed myself directly in front of them, but I mean, it was just for fun. So this is maybe one, I wouldn't call it issue. It's more like the nature of things for now, as we just know it, because I mean, I don't know anything else in this regard. So for me, it's kind of natural. And the thing is that I don't know for the one who doesn't know. So when you grab a surface and you edit this, so this surface is locked. So there's no way that the other users can grab this surface and change it simultaneously. So you're always in control of what you do, and despite of that, you have your own layers. So everything you do is on your own layer, and you can lock that layer, and then no one can have access to this to this surface and objects, which is also a really important thing, and also something I know that you are working on, and on the layer structure. There's you could do a lot of things in the layer structure, and I have a lot of the ideas for that too. Yeah.
Good. We're definitely interested in hearing those ideas. When you bring models in from Blender, can you also bring their colors and textures?
Textures, not as far as I know. Colors, I think it will represent the same color, but it will not be the same. I mean, not the same shader. So it will. I think it will give the. I'm not sure actually. Or was it vice versa? Then when you're from Gravity Sketch and you export an OBJ, I think you then got the color you defined in Gravity Sketch. I have to double check on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And what VR hardware do you use?
Oh, yeah. This is also interesting. So currently we use the Vive Pro and the Vive Cosmos for modeling in Gravity Sketch. We have a lot of other headsets, VW, like the Vario or the Pimax and stuff, but they are usually used for checking the models on a high quality in VRED, for what is called the visualization part of things, but really at the end of the pipeline. So for checking reflections and stuff like that. So yeah, but I would love to I'm always looking also for new VR headsets. So I would love to use more than that, but it's a big company, and till you get what you want, it takes time. So as you know, we are not allowed to use Facebook products. So sadly, the old Oculus hardware is not available for us, which is sad because on the private side of things, I have an Oculus S Rift, and this is for me for now the most comfortable headset I had yet. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. It's the one that I actually use and prefer to use. Great. Yeah, I mean, I find it really interesting that some people have yet to get their first VR headset, and you're already looking for more options. So that gives you kind of like an idea of where some people are right now with adopting VR for their design workflow. And so, Peter, well, it's been such a great conversation. It's been great having you around. Thank you so much for your time and for giving us your insights.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. And to everyone at Gravity Sketch, a big thanks so far. It's been a great ride, and hope to see more. And I also have to, Ali Varol said to me, he has to say hello to the team. So hello from Ali. I don't know if he's in the talk yet or still, but that's it. So yeah, thank you.
Great.
Have a nice one.
Thank you, Peter. Have a nice one. Everyone, we will be back in 10 minutes for our panel discussion. See you in a bit.